Hi guys, today I wanted to tell you about ZeroZone monoblock D-class TPA based TPA3255 based monoblocks with dedicated power supply that I got a few weeks ago. Before I go into the specs, just a short story why these ones. Well, I was exchanging messages with the guys I got my Darzil clone from, and later on I also got by their recommendation Musical Fidelity A1 clone, and I was wondering if there is any kind of amplifier that would be not an obvious choice because of the brand of the clone, that they would recommend. Something that they know that just sounds good, something that they would recommend to their friends, to their family, or something like that. And Kevin from Kenya told me about this small gem. Small because it weighs only 5 kilos in total. These are two monoblocks and dedicated power supply. These are produced by ZeroZone, sometimes called, I don't know why, but the name also happens to be in the AliExpress offers. GZL Zone, I don't know, but the PCBs are branded ZeroZone. This brand, from what I've seen, produces mostly do-it-yourself stuff, like PCB boards, like do-it-yourself kits for amplifiers, like some pre-made power supplies, etc., etc. So they weren't exactly cheap, but they weren't also expensive. They were $400 delivered here to Europe, and they had this very strong recommendation, so I decided to beat the bullet and just buy them. Okay, so let's start with the specs. These are, as I said, Texas Instruments TPA3255 based monoblocks. 3255 is working in BTL mode here, and according to the specification they are able to reach 300 watts per channel into 4 ohms, yes, or 180 watts into 8 ohms. What was very interesting for me, because I'm still looking for the amplifiers that will be able to drive my Martin Logans best. These are also supposed to be able to deliver 600 watts into 2 ohms. These 2 ohms are interesting for me because Martin Logan Ascent 1 electrostat speakers in the treble region are dropping to as low as 1.2 ohm. So they are quite difficult load. Okay, these two have dedicated power supply. Dedicated power supply is said to be able to deliver 8 watts of power. This is a switching power supply, it's not linear power supply. But the producer said that this one is the best matching monoblocks. Okay, I won't tell you about. I won't tell you, and I won't show you the box. It comes in a usual cardboard box with generous amount of foam inside. I've read a story, but because these are basically offered by just 3 shops on AliExpress. And in 2 of them, there's a story telling that the designer from ZeroZone went to Hong Kong Audio Fair a couple of years ago, and then he heard the digital amplifier that costed something like $11,000, and this digital amplifier didn't sound digital at all. So he decided to try to design something similar back home, and apparently, at least that's what they say, they contacted a local branch of Texas Instruments, and they decided to use 3255 integrated D-class amplifier, but the schematics, the PCB, are not following the recommendations. These are not the stock designs from Texas Instruments that you can find in 5255 white papers. Okay. Since left and right channels are exactly the same, I'll move one to the side, and I'll tell you what's inside of each of these boxes. The amplifiers are coming with a set of power cables, because starting from the power supply, the power supply is using automotive 24 volts connectors, so you're getting two wires to connect two channels to your power source. On the outside we have power socket, we have integrated fuse compartment here, and we have two connectors for left and right channels. As you can see, you can get this one into two flavors for 115 volts and 230 volts. In the front of the power supply we have only the power on button. The button lights up in blue when the power is switched on. The case is solid aluminum. It's pretty thick, as you can see. Yeah, that was nice. All three cases are exactly the same in size, so they match properly, and you can stack them or place them side by side and they look very nice. And what do we have inside? We have a switching power supply. We have capacitors for the switching power supply. These are Nippon chemical capacitors. So not the best, not the worst, just fine for the power supply. Though there is a room for improvement, you can replace them with something better if you like in the future. Other than that, nothing special to mention. Just a regular switching power supply. Although, as you can see, they've paid attention to routing the wires. There is no mess inside. It's everything cleanly and neatly connected and placed. You can get this power supply board separately in a few of AliExpress shops. KM P800 version 1.3. Okay, there is a sign, I don't know if that's the brand name. It says calming like KM probably. Okay, that's it about the power supply. Now let's talk about the monoblocks. In front of each one of them you have a power LED indicating the status of the amplifier. There's also a print on the case stating that these are TPA3255 mono split class D digital power amplifiers. On the back there is a few interesting things happening. The first one is XLR inputs. These are available in RCA and XLR input flavors. When ordering, you have to specify whenever you want single-ended or balanced version. The speaker terminals. As you can see, these are not your regular small and cheap speaker terminals that you can find on 99% of TPA-based amplifiers. Though, again, there's still some room for improvement, for replacing them with pure copper ones or something like that. Okay, taking the look inside, what we can see here, starting from this way up. Okay, again, we see Nippon chemical capacitors as a power reserve for the power amplifier. These are 3,300 microfarads each. They are rated for 50 volts. Yes, I think I will be replacing them with something better. Though the rest of the capacitors here are really nice. These are Nichicon Muse and Nichicon Gold series electrolytic capacitors, so quite nice. The stock configuration of these power amplifiers includes Texas Instruments NE5532 operational amplifiers, but that's basically the first thing I always replace with something better. I will tell you more about opamp selection for these amplifiers a little bit later on. As you can see, the PCB is marked with ZeroZone and the note in circle logo, and it says 300 watts power amp. Another interesting thing here is that if you take a look, if you can see that, the balanced connection, all three wires from balanced collection are soldered here into the input of the amplifier, and as you'll follow the tracks and the elements on the PCB, you'll see that this is basically a fully balanced construction. The input from XLR is not converted to single-ended, which is good, and that's why I would recommend you always to go with XLR version. Then we have a very nice blue heatsink over the amplifier chip. We won't be able to see the amplifier chip underneath this heatsink. When I was doing my listening sessions, the heatsink was barely warm to the touch, so I didn't bother to measure the temperature with my laser meter because it was barely warm. It was like, I don't know, 20 degrees centigrade most. Then we are able to see some very nice area core inductors and some ferrite core, I think inductors, and we have some capacitors. And there's also one thing maybe worth mentioning. The brand of the XLR connector, I don't know if you can spot that, you can see that this is made by Rian. Rian is supposed to be a daughter brand of Neutrik, cheaper brand than Neutrik, but they are still producing quality connectors. I know about them because I'm usually using either Neutrik or Rian or Amphenol connectors in my do-it-yourself interconnects for my systems or headphone cables. So again, internally, very neat and very clean build. What the producer is mentioning on their page is that the speaker cables inside are supposed to be produced by UK-based company Prysmian, and they are solid core. They are very thick and very nice speaker cables. Okay, anything I forgot to mention from my notes? One thing to mention here is that, as you can see, these do not have any kind of subwoofer output. These are full range speaker tabs. So if you're going to be using a subwoofer, you need to use your source, like digital to analog converter, to provide signal and with volume regulation to your subwoofer, or maybe your preamplifier, whatever. But you won't be able to connect subwoofer directly to these. Okay, I've told you about the temperature I've measured. One thing more that I've measured during my tests. I'm not using a very precise power meter. I'm using a smart plug compatible with Tuya, which is basically good enough for my needs. And this Tuya monitoring smart plug told me that the full setup, both monoblocks and the power amplifier, when I was doing my listening tests, were using something like a little bit more than 14 watts of power, which is absolutely a ridiculous and minuscule amount of power. So very, very eco-friendly construction using very small amounts of energy, which was very surprising to me because During my test, I've connected and I've tested these monoblocks with my electrostat speakers. And these are difficult load, but still the power consumption went from 14.0 to 14.7, I think, and that was it. So some amazing results here. Okay, now about my test setup. It's the usual test setup for all of the amplifiers and preamplifiers and digital to analog converters that I'm using. So basically, no free tickets. It has to play by the same rules as the big boys. So HTPC, completely passive HTPC running FUBAR 2K, the latest version of FUBAR. The source were files, DSD and lossless files from my collection. The HTPC is feeding SyncCell SU6 digital to digital converter, and outputs from DDC are connected via I2S cables to my Gastart X26 Pro and my Asahi Kasei 4499EX based semi-BRV DA50 digital to analog converters. So two digital to analog converters were used for the testing purposes. Why? Because Gastart is based on Sabre and semi-BRV is based on top of the line Asahi Kasei. Then the outputs, both digital to analog converters provide fully balanced outputs. So I was using the AudioQuest Dragon, fake Dragon XLR interconnects to connect the amplifiers. The power supply was connected with also fake AudioQuest Dragon power. And the speaker cables that I was using during my tests were again all fakes. Red Dawn, Nordost Red Dawn fake speaker cables, and two fake models of AudioQuest, K2s, and again Dragons. Funny fact is that though these cables are fake, almost each one of them is more expensive than the whole set of these monoblocks. And they are also very, very good. Yeah, the speaker cables already had the review, and the power cables will have a review sometime soon. Okay, so that's about the test setups. The speakers themselves. I've used my collection of Martin Logan speakers, precisely my Martin Logan 15s, Martin Logan Motion 15s, Martin Logan Motion 35X Ti, and my Electrostat Martin Logan Ascent 1 speakers. I've also used my DALI Icons Mark 1 and my DALI Opticons Mark 1 for testing purposes. I was too lazy to bring up here my Wolfdale Diamond 12.3 tower speakers. Okay, so that's about the test setup. I've told you the source were DSD and lossless files. So let's now move to the sound qualities of this nice construction. By the way, I really dig the look of these. These are simple and they have nice industrial look on them. The miniature for this video will present all of them in powered on state with this nice blue LEDs lighted up. So okay, the sound qualities. The bass. The bass is very accurate. It's fast and precise. It reminds me very much of the planar bass. I mean, it prefers the quality over quantity. So I would use subwoofer with this set of power amplifiers, but the bass is very well controlled. It's conveying a lot of good textures, and it's very easy to follow bass lines. It's a really nice thing to be able to precisely follow bass guitar lines. You may miss some rumble though if you're not using subwoofer. The mids. The mids have a very nice clarity and transparency. They are very engaging and musical. They do not sound thin. That's the first thing that I've noticed. That almost every other TPA or basically D-class amplifier that I've tested so far usually had this thin sound quality to it. They were all precise, they were better or worse, but you can almost immediately tell that these are D-class amplifier. The only exception is AIMA A70 that I tested last time, which is I think more than three times cheaper, because this one you can get for, as I said, for $100. So you could have 3 AIMAs A70 for that. Okay, but getting back to the mids. They are natural, they do not sound thin, they are full-bodied, and they have very good detail. I know you'll be asking about that. You will surely be asking about the comparison to clones. Yes, some clones had better mids. Class A clones had better mids, like Musical Fidelity A1 clone had better mids, but these were just exceptional. And the mids here are very, very, very good. Okay, moving to the treble. Very good extension. The treble is very delicate and very melodic. It doesn't sound metallic, and it doesn't have this artificial shine that you can sometimes hear in other D-class amplifiers. All in all, I wasn't able to tell by the sound of the mids and treble that this is actually a D-class amp. Okay, what else about the treble? Very nice strings because of all the detail. Very nice brass instruments, again because of all of the detail available here. The treble was very relaxing, very musical, and very clear. For example, I don't know if you're familiar. If you're not, try to be familiar with great set of recordings by London Philharmonic Orchestra. That's a set of recording where guys from Philharmonic Orchestra recorded the music themes from modern games. So try to look and listen for the beginning of Call of Duty 2 theme. You can clearly hear all of the nice details in the orchestra when they are starting to play, when instrument by instrument is joining the music. So that was something amazing for me. And completely forget about the sibilance. No traces of sibilance, neither in mids, neither in treble here. So again, no metallic shine, no sibilance, very, very good. Moving from treble to detail. I've already mentioned that treble, mids and bass had great detail, but now focusing on the detail itself. Very large amount of background sounds here, especially in live recordings. If you have something that was recorded live, some kind of venue, some kind of concert, you will be able to hear all the detail of the audience. Clapping, screaming, talking, which is a very nice thing, because when you're listening to that kind of live recording, it builds this feeling of being there. Some of the amplifiers, also not all, but most of the clones that I reviewed so far, in that kind of situation would be focusing on the front stage. I mean, you would be able to hear the things happening around the stage, around the scene, but they wouldn't be provided with such clarity like here. So in this regard, it's actually better than some of the clones. So very good and nice feeling with live recordings. For example, Kick Don't Go. Everyone knows the song, everyone beats this song to death by testing equipment with it, but just listen to the beginning, listen to the audience screaming and shouting in the background. You will be able to clearly hear what they are saying and what they are shouting. So very nice background detail. And this song, Kick Don't Go, also moves us to the scene imaging part of the review. Because in this song you'll be able to clearly hear not only what they are shouting, but you'll also be able to pinpoint the location of the people screaming and shouting to the stage. Some of them are in the front, some of them are in the back. You'll be able to hear if they are closer to you or farther away from you, and you'll be able to position them on left and right sides. A very good separation from the speakers. I know it's very often used in reviews, but these amplifiers are able to move the sound away from the speaker and create the scene in front of the speakers and behind the speakers. So you're not able to hear the speakers. If you close your eyes, you won't be able, unless you remember where they are standing, you won't be able to point your fingers to the speakers. It's not two speakers playing, it's just the whole complete scene in front of you. So very clear planes of music layered from front to the back. You can easily hear the depth information. The height, not so much, but that's also because I don't have many recordings that have very big differences in height. However, for example, what was this called? Just a second. There's a recording of a Pink Floyd concert. I think it was taken live in Gdańsk city, and it was very well recorded and mastered, and you'll be able to clearly hear that the guitars, the leading guitar and the second guitar, are not only placed one behind another, and one is to the left, the other one's to the right, but also the front one is higher than the back one. You can clearly hear that, and that's also another great example of good live recording. Okay, so we've covered almost all parts of the sound description. Just one thing remains, the timbre. The sound is very full-bodied. It's striking the right balance between being thin and too fat. It doesn't sound thin at all. It doesn't sound like D-class at all, but it's also not fat. It doesn't sound like some of the analog amplifiers, because D-class are basically digital amplifiers. It doesn't sound analog in a bad way when every instrument is big and fat, and when you're listening to basically anything, you're feeling like you'd be listening to your music in a crowded elevator with that ventilation. So basically all of the parts of your track are there, but they are crowded. No, nothing like that here. Very good balance, very right balance between thin and fat, just right. Again, doesn't sound like D-class at all. Okay, what else about the timbre? Quite natural. I love the guitars, though some of the acoustic guitars could sound a little bit more organic, but that's just me picking up on some things, because I've heard very good Class A clones. Okay, now some technicalities. Okay, so these have, as you've seen, replaceable operational amplifiers. So if you'd be going for integrated ICs, integrated operational amplifiers, my best recommendation for this, the best pairing, would be OPA828 that you can see here, or OPA627 that I've also tried. OPA627 will lose some details, very small amount of details compared to OPA828, but will have a slightly better bass. But as usual, the recommendation for opamps, for operational amplifiers, for D-class amplifiers, goes to the discrete Class A operational amplifiers. And what do we have here? So, I've tried 3 sets. These ones are staccatos. Staccatos will have their own review very soon. They are very great, very analog sounding. They are pure Class A, and they fit inside like a glove. You have pin 1 marking here, and yeah, sorry Jacob, I just noticed the mark here. So, and that's it. You're set. How do they sound? Very analog. They even further move away the sound of these monoblocks from digital domain. They give you organic timbre of instruments, though they will make you lose some of the finest detail. These are not as precise as OPA CVS integrated operational amplifiers, but that's normal. That's Class A. So highly recommended pairing. Another very good pairing is LC5s or LC2s. These basically sound the same. However, there's one problem. You won't be able to fit them like that because they are stopping on the capacitors. But let me share with you the trick of the elders of the tribe given me by the Winnetou himself. Deep sockets. Deep 8 sockets. You can use them as extensions like that, and now you'll be able to place LC2s and LC5s inside just fine. Okay, where are these legs? Rubber legs like that. Okay, what these bring to the table? A little more airiness than staccatos, but a little less organic timbre. My recommendation is to try both of them if possible, because they are bringing different flavors. I can't say which one is better and which one is worse. This one is warmer, more intimate, more analog sounding. This one is also analog sounding, but a bit less warm and with a bit more air. So the great thing is to be able to choose from both of them and just to compare them in specific equipment. So in this case, if you would be choosing between both of them, my personal recommendation here in this particular amplifier would go for staccato, because it gives this more analog, more warm feeling, and it fits without additional deep sockets, just like that. Yep, and it's done. Okay, so I've told you that I tested these amplifiers, these monoblocks, with my selection of speakers. The last set of speakers that I was using for my tests were my electrostat speakers, because these are always the hardest to drive, and I've learned not to expect much from different types of amplifiers when connecting them to electrostats. But I was very positively surprised. What was the signature sound of the combination of these TPA3255 monoblock set with my electrostat Martin Logan Ascent 1 speakers? It was like turbo transparency boost. The electrostats are very precise and they crazily image. The 3D imaging is out of this world. This combination was like turbo boosting transparency, 3D, and depth information. What amazed me was that it was able to achieve that using just 0.7 of watts of additional power. I was expecting them to be more demanding, but these were able to drive them properly and with very good treble extension and detail. Basically, The problem with the electrostat speakers is that if the amplifier cannot provide enough current and if they are too difficult load, the first symptom that you'll hear is that these will lack, not these speakers, they will lack treble extension. There will be fog, the sound will be muddy, and there will be no highest treble extension that you can hear. This was not the case with these two. They were working properly, actually they were working very, very good. And what I've noticed, I actually wrote that down because, I'm testing the equipment. The critical listening sessions always take place in the night because that's the time when I have the most clear background, sound background. There is no sound pollution coming from the streets or from the building itself, and this allows me to be able to discern the fine details of the sound. So what I've noted is my wife shouting from downstairs that maybe I should think about lowering the volume a little because people are sleeping around here. Well, the idea was that this combination of this set and Martin Logan electrostat speakers made me want to go louder and louder. So I was moving the volume up and up and up, step by step, because it sounded better. It seems that these have a very low total harmony distortion when used with Martin Logans. So I've never felt that the sound is too loud. I've never found and I've never heard the sound to be fatiguing. I just wanted to raise the volume to be able to get more of that live feeling, more of that fluid of the details and the scene around me. So that's something very amazing. Spoilers, I'll do the summary at the end of the video, but the spoilers, this set, regardless of the outcome of my clone race, this set, these two monoblocks and this power source will remain with me. Okay, some additional random notes that I took during my tests. The sound is very precise, it's neither warm or cold, it's highly neutral and transparent. The transparency is actually amazing. I wrote that again with underscore. Makes you want to go louder and louder. Okay, so that's something I already told. Yes, it doesn't sound like typical D class at all. There's one idea that I have in my mind. My local friends have no idea that I'm recording videos on YouTube. So the idea is to use these amplifiers to make pranks on them. Do not show them what's inside, do not show them the boxes, connect them and ask them, what's this? What do they think? What kind of amplifier makes this sound? And make them guess the price. That's the idea for a prank. Okay. Another thing, as for the sound, I have no idea what other amplifier I could compare to the sound of these. These do not sound like D class at all, but they do not sound like class A at all. They do not sound like class AB at all. The closest thing that comes to my mind is actually ZeroZone clone, because ZeroZone clone in a way is very brutal, it's very low and it's very wild, and it's also very precise. And this is something, maybe not close, but something that makes you think about ZeroZone. The similar, in a way, maybe similar sound signature, maybe similar feeling that you're getting when you're listening to your music. I think I could compare this to a very honest magnifying glass. If the recording is well made, you'll be very happy. you'll be blown away by the quality of the sound. If the recording is poorly made, you'll be able to hear all the deficiencies of the sound. It doesn't color the sound, it doesn't mask anything, it doesn't have any sweet coloration, it doesn't have any sweet and romantic taste to the music. For example, another great choral recording, Dragonborn from Skyrim soundtrack. The track called Dragonborn is a track with a very raw and very wild recording of choir. With this set, when I was listening to this track, it actually made the hair on my neck raise. So that was amazing, and that was very, very emotional. And the track itself made you want to join them and scream with them the same text that they are singing. So that's very high price. So I've never heard D-Class and I've never heard 3255 sound like that. AIIMA A70 may be getting close to that, because it also doesn't sound like D-Class, or it doesn't sound like TPA3255, but it's more warm and it's more relaxed. This is just a raw wildness in 3 black boxes. Okay, the summary. Absolutely great and stunning amplifier, $400, and these will be yours. As I said, regardless of the clone race, these will stay with me. They have some modding potential. I want to replace the capacitors here. I will be replacing the operational amplifiers here. What else? Maybe I'll get the second power supply, because since these are completely separate, you can use 2 power supplies. You don't have to use 1 power supply, and if you use 2 of them, you'll have completely separated mono setup. But there's no hurry with that, because the specs say that this is good up to 800 watts. Maybe, I don't know. But throughout my testing, these were using 14, let's say 15, generously say 15 watts of power. So there's very, very big difference between possibilities of this power source, power supply, and the power requirements of these two. Okay, again, because I need to tell you this again, it doesn't sound like D-Class at all. Not at all. Highly recommended. I'll post the link to the shop I got these from in the video description. If I forgot anything, just ask me in the comments, and as usual, if you found that video helpful, interesting, if it helped you to make a decision on buying or not buying the equipment, you're more than welcome to buy me a beer. I'm a beer fan. I love selection of local beers, and I love different beers from all over the world. Maybe I'll do a video on that someday. We'll see about that. Anyway, thanks for watching. Again, that was a very long video, 43 minutes and running. Thank you. If you have any questions, if I forgot about anything, please do not hesitate, ask me in the comments. See you next time, guys, with the review of another clones. Bye.